Yo, 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 what's going on, man? It's about that time again. You know what I'm saying? We got my boy Sid in the house. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got your boy Kent Kick Dough
Kick though low.
here for another one of these Sid Talks.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
know what I mean? We gonna let the people come on in, man. How your week been, Sid? Man, everybody been liking the joints, man. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yeah. Shout out to Ken himself for being the mastermind behind said talks. I mean, Ken always comes up with the best ideas. Shout out to the God Killer again. Thanks for creating this space where we can slow some of these conversations down. Yeah, the feedback has been great, and it motivated me to continue to develop this series. So we'll be here every Wednesday night as long as y'all want us to be here. You know how pseudo killers get down.
And true indeed. Now I don't want to take all the credit now because God Killer we was kind of in the conversation talking about some things, and then it kind of like it just came up between both of us. So I don't want to take all the credit, man. So
I
you know what I mean? Shout to God Killer. You know what I mean?
Shout out to the God Killer himself. Community is skeptic. Don't forget to subscribe and like and share the show. Don't forget to hit that like button as you come on in. Help the algorithm grow. Let's get this information out there. You know, pseudo killers putting in that work. We've been consistent in our messaging, consistent in our objective, which is to elevate the level of awareness, scientific literacy in the community. Why? Because scientific literacy is the key to making everyday decisions for yourself, your family, and your community at large. So that's why we are in this space, for no other reason than to give you that information.
For sure, man. And y'all already know. You know what I'm saying? Whoever want to come on and if you want to ask some questions or you want to challenge something or whatever says say, we ain't running from no smoke. You know what I'm
Never.
saying? Keep it on topic. We ain't getting disrespectful, and we can have a good time. You feel me? So we going
No
we going
flim flam.
already. We gonna shout out some people in the building, man. Black Sun
So
403. What's going on with your dog? You know what I'm saying? Heru Conscious
here, Ru.
7206. What's up, dog, man? Black Sun 403. Man, appreciate you coming in, man. The Objective Perspective 02. And of course, you already know more people gonna pour in as we do this thing. So,
Yes, sir.
do you want to give them just brush them up a little bit before you go in, say it, and on what you did last week? What we going
Yeah,
where we
so
continue from?
last week we talked about what science is, what science isn't, what you can and what you can't do with science. We looked at some of the definitions and we put things in its proper perspective, right? We've been seeing that science has been trying. It's We see attempts to weaponize science in the community, and the abuse of science when trying to use science to establish things like race. That's a no-no. Um, um, the uh, the anachronistic application of modern science onto ancient peoples, those are absolute no-nos in the scientific endeavor and in historical context. When you are inaccurately engaging with history and with science, you tend to create confusion, and that's why we see some of the arguments, the back and forths that we're having on these platforms. Science is not a tool to facilitate your ideology, right? We examined those things last week. And in this week, we can continue to build on that because we are going to tackle one of the largest misconceptions in this community is evolution. Again, I've always said, and the fact that we are here now and in this space is a testament to the growth of the community, right? 5, 10 years ago, evolution would have not been a subject that people would want to engage in, right?
Right.
Because of the usual stereotypes. So I appreciate the fact that we are even having this level of discourse. But again, it's time to slow it down, look at what these things actually mean, what evolution represents, what it doesn't represent, what it means, what it doesn't mean. Just slow the conversation down. We tend, especially when we're looking at things like migration patterns, and we're talking about these haplogroups developing. Um, I get far too often the impression that there's a misconception as to what evolution actually means, what it is, right?
Right, right.
Evolution is a change in allele frequency over generations and in a population. But what does that mean? So that's why we are slow the conversation all the way down, get into each one of these specific areas, and just completely slow it down, clear up the air, understand things like speciation cannot be equated by any stretch of the imagination to metamorphosis. It gives the idea that when you move to a cooler climate, you see people get the skin tones get lighter. That is adaptation. No, that is a chemical reaction based on the amount of radiation. Lightening of skin tone is something again that happens over successive generation, and it has to do again with reaching the age of reproduction. Darker skin tones in environments with less UVV have a higher. It's more difficult to synthesize vitamin D, which is now leading to issues with folic acid production in prenatal development, leading to brain dysfunction, etc., right? So you see that natural selection is going to take effect. But what is natural selection? Again, so all these questions, we are going to answer them tonight. We're going to slow the conversation down. This is one that you can share with your kids. You can slow it down, take your time, look at it again, so that you understand and fully grounded in what these things means and what the concepts are. Shout out to Lord Golds. Of course, yeah, my brother. Science is undefeated.
All
So,
day.
yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So without further ado, man, you know how we do, man. We like to get on in bright and early. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't got to sit and wait 3 hours before you get to the the meat. Pause. But hey, say it, man. Go ahead, talk that talk, man.
Yeah, man. Without further ado, you know those famous words. Share my screen and let me know when we're ready to rock and roll.
Let's get it.
All right. Set Talk. Welcome once again. Tonight, what evolution actually is. Population level change, not personal transformation. Let's get it. Welcome to Set Talks. This series is grounded in critical inquiry, historical context, and methodological rigor. Here, claims about history, science, culture, and belief are examined as they are, not as modern projections, ideological symbols, or spiritual metaphors. Set Talks operates from a simple principle. Respect for the past begins with understanding it accurately. Observation is not theory. Symbolism is not mechanism. And identity should never be placed evidence. This space is especially committed to conversations within communities where history is often asked to carry the weight of modern meaning, because empowerment rooted in myth is fragile, but empowerment rooted in truth endures. This is Set Talks. In episode 1, we established that science is a disciplined method, not a belief system, not a political tool, and not a cultural weapon. Today, we apply that discipline to one of the most misunderstood concepts in public discourse: evolution. Let's go. What evolution is not. Let's start there. Misconception number 1: individuals evolve, individuals develop, populations evolve. Example: no person turns into another species. No group evolves into another group in a single leap. Misconception number 2: evolution has direction. No, there is no ladder. There is no progress scale. There is no more evolved populations. We often hear that, right? Bacteria are not primitive failures. They are extremely successful organisms. Misconception number 3: evolution explains morality, identity, or destiny. Evolution explains trait frequencies, trait frequency changes, not cultural worth, spiritual significance, or racial narrative. Behind me, behind there, you see a tree with branches, and all these branches take on different paths, all rooted from a stem. Metamorphosis is not speciation. This confusion happens because people conflate individual developmental change with population level genetic changes over generations. These are completely different biological processes. Metamorphosis is not a speciation. What is it? So, what is metamorphosis? Metamorphosis is a developmental process. It is a programmed transformation that occurs within the life of a single organism. Single organism. Example, the monarch butterfly, it goes from an egg, the egg hatches into a caterpillar, the caterpillar crystallizes and what we call a cocoon, and eventually it emerges as a butterfly. The common frog, it in its infant stage is a tadpole, and it goes through a developmental stage and matures as and into a full adult frog. The DNA does not fundamentally change. So it's important to know that the DNA does not fundamentally change. The genome is the same before and after metamorphosis. What metamorphosis is, the change in gene expression. Different genes are turned on and off at different developmental stages. This is regulated by hormones. For example, the ecdysone in insects and the thyroid hormones in amphibians. Now, what is the speciation? Right? So metamorphosis, butterfly, tadpole. Each animal within that group, so each single caterpillar will emerge as a butterfly. That is simple metamorphosis. Speciation is the formation of a new species through genetic divergence over generations. It's all going to make sense in a little bit as we break this down. It requires population level changes, accumulated mutations, reproductive isolation, divergence in allele frequencies. Speciations happens across many generations. Metamorphosis happens within one lifetime. These are categorically different biological mechanisms. So you can appreciate my confusion or my complete reluctance to even entertain the attempt to use one to explain the other. These are some of the reasons why I knew this series was necessary. So is it clear? Do you see that you cannot conflate these two mechanisms by no stretch of the imagination? Let's continue. So why people confuse them? The confusion is visual. A caterpillar turning into a butterfly looks dramatic, so people assume if evolution happens, shouldn't we see something like that? That explains. So if evolution happened, why don't we see monkeys evolving into human beings? We've heard that, right? Why don't we see chimpanzees still evolving into human beings? Because this is the assumption that exists. The idea of evolution in a lot of people's minds resembles what metamorphosis look like. That's where you get the Pokemon analogies. Because in Pokemon, they use the term evolution. But what we are witnessing is metamorphosis. But that expectation is wrong. Metamorphosis is pre-programmed, encoded in the species genome, repeated every generation. Versus speciation is not pre-programmed, not goal-directed, emergent from cumulative genetic changes. That should be pretty clear now. Just in case it isn't, take a listen. Take a look. Cocoon.
They say the sound ain't. I don't know if they saying nothing on there, but the sound ain't.
No, it's just music. There's no
Okay,
words.
got you. All right, just making sure.
So you see the butterfly coming out now? Metamorphosis. There you go. So just simple example of what metamorphosis is. And it would resemble evolution in our heads, right? Because the change in the species, that's not how that actually goes. So a deeper insight for TED Talks. Metamorphosis itself evolved. That process that you see in metamorphosis, it itself evolved. The dramatic transformation from insects developed gradually over evolutionary history. So even metamorphosis is a product of evolution, but it is not evolution happening within a single organism. That distinction is crucial. That's why we're slowing it down. Again, so even metamorphosis, that process that you just saw, is a product of evolution, but it is not evolution happening within a single organism. That is a crucial distinction. That is not evolution. That is metamorphosis, transformation. Metamorphosis is a change in form within a life. Evolution is a change in gene frequency across generations. Confusing the two is confusing development with descent. So this is why you get my hard objection to trying to use one to explain the next. It tells me there's a fundamental misunderstanding in these mechanisms within the psyche if you're using this type of analogy. All right. What genes actually is. Let's look at the picture for a second. Evolution is change in allele frequency in population across generation. Right? So you see you have your double helix there. That would represent your whole DNA. And that little component in the lady's hand or in the figure's hand is what we call a gene. Now, what is a gene? Gene is a coding to produce a protein. On the other side, you have alleles. Genes, alleles. Allele 1, allele 2, allele 3. What is that allele? That allele is this gene expressed differently or slightly changed based on its position on the chromosome. Let's get it. All right. So what does that mean? Evolution, change in allele frequency in a population across generations. What does that mean? Oh, let's start at the very beginning. So let me start with genes. Every organism carries gene segments of DNA that influences traits like skin pigmentation, lactose digestion, or eye color. So every aspect of your physical being is controlled by genes. A gene is like a biological instruction, but genes can come in slightly different variations, right? So think of eye color, for example, right? There are variations, there are degrees to eye color expression. You have different shades of brown, you have different shades of blue, gray. They come in slightly different variations. Those are alleles. Let's continue. An allele is simply a different version of the same gene. For example, there is a gene involved in lactase production. Some people have a version that turns off after childhood, and there's a other allele, a other version that stays active into adulthood. Those versions are alleles. So allele is a version of a particular gene. A particular gene codes for a particular aspect of your biological makeup. Not too difficult. With me? All right, let's continue. Now let's define evolution. Evolution is the change in how common different versions of genes are in a population over generations. We can say it even simpler. Evolution is when certain genetic versions become more or less common over time. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So population A has 99 people with the adult version and one with the child version of the lactose gene. So one that turns off and 99 others have the one that turns on. In that population, you are going to continue to see, right, the allele that is most frequent, most common, be reproduced because having the version that stays active in adulthood allows you to tolerate lactose, gives you a higher probability of reproduction, and that's why that version is going to be predominant in a particular population. With me? All right. So now, nothing in science is void of mechanisms. So we are going to examine the mechanisms of evolution. One by one, we are going to slow them down. Mutation. What does that mean? New versions appear. How do these new versions appear? How do different alleles of a particular gene appear? Through mutations. What does natural selection do with those new versions? Some versions spread because they increase reproductive success. So when these new versions appear via mutation, those that are beneficial for the organism to reach the age of reproduction, thereby spreading that particular version of that allele in the population, is called natural selection. Then you have genetic drift. Some birth versions spread just by chance. Then you have gene flow. Versions move between populations. These are the mechanisms. Simple, easy, but necessary to understand them, each and of themselves and how they work. So let's take a look at mutations. What is a mutation? A mutation is simply a change in the DNA sequence. But how does it happen? That's it, not more. DNA, you have a change in the sequence, leads to a mutation. It is not automatically harmful. It is not automatically beneficial. It is not directed towards needs. So it is not that you are going to be in an environment and then a mutation is going to happen within the organism because of the environmental pressures, right? We use these words, and I think we misappropriate them. Natural selection is environmental pressure, but that doesn't mean that the organism is going to produce mutations that are going to be beneficial. So it is not directed towards a need. It is simply a copying variation that occurs when DNA is replicated or altered. Evolution cannot happen without mutation. Mutations is the raw material. Go all the way back. What is evolution? A change in allele frequency over many generations. What is an allele? Allele is a variation of a particular gene. How do you get those variations? Via mutations. All right, you're walking with me. So where do these mutations come from? Mutations arise from DNA replication errors. When cells divide, DNA is copied. The copying machinery is extremely accurate, but not perfect. Humans accumulate roughly between 50 to 100 new mutations per generation per individual. Most are neutral. So again, your body goes through cell replication over and over again. All the cells in your body are changed out, right? The cells are divided, right? And your DNA is then split it's unraveled, right? RNA copies the other end, and it is put back into the cell. So, and when this copying process is happening, mind you, if you have over so much million base pairs, it's a biological process. You are going to get mutations, right? It is just part of transcription. So what in also you have environmental factors, radiation, certain chemicals, viruses, oxidative stress. These can damage DNA, leading to changes. Recombination error. During meiosis, sperm egg formation, chromosomes exchange segments. Mistakes here can create structural variations. This is also an area where mutations are likely to happen because, of course, you have fusion of two different genetic material to form one, and that process of meiosis, you can have mutations taking place. So, all right. Look at what
in the fallopian tube, the egg is surrounded by layers of cells called corona radiata and zona pellucida. Once a single sperm penetrates the zona pellucida, it fuses with the egg cell membrane. The sperm's genetic material is released into the egg. To prevent multiple sperms from fertilizing the same egg, the zona pellucida hardens and changes its structure, preventing any other sperm from entering. The genetic material from the sperm and egg fuse together to form a fertilized egg called zygote.
There you go. Here, yellow is a gene. This is your segment of DNA. You can see it's on the chromosome. This segment of gene produces a protein. Segment of DNA codes for a particular protein. Change something here, anywhere here. The question is, would you get the same folding and result in this protein? Let's find out. Point mutations. So types of mutations, single nucleotide mutation. So you have A, C, G, and T. and they line up across each other, forming base pairs. A single nucleotide change is a G being swapped for a T being swapped for a C, or vice versa. So we can have a silent, no protein change. So that single nucleotide change did not affect the ability to fold and form the protein. So it's silent. Then you have a missing, different amino acid, right? A missense is now that particular nucleotide change resulted in a different amino acid being produced altogether, resulting in a different protein. Nonsense. Premature stop codon. So now that single nucleotide change has now altered the structure, thus that you get a premature stop. You cannot get a proper folding, so the protein. So now you have a problem because you can no longer produce this specific protein. You have also insertion or deletion, extra base pairs added or removed. So now, if not in groups of three, if these insertions or deletions are not in groups of three, you have a frame shift. And that frame shift now leads to the same nonsense, which is a premature stop, an incomplete protein, or a non-functioning protein. So now you have gene duplication. A gene gets copied twice. This is huge in evolution. One of the areas it is most huge is in our ability to see in tricolor. The gene that codes for the light receptors. We had a third one based on a gene being copied. Not we, primates. Primates, tune in tomorrow for our ability to see in color. Duplicate genes can retain original function, mutate and gain new function, or degenerate because it's not being used. Many human gene families arose this way. And you have regulatory mutations, changes in when, where, and how much of a gene is expressed. These are especially important in human evolution. Many different ways between humans and chimpanzees are regulatory rather than structural. Let's continue. What do mutations actually do? At the population level, mutations falls into three broad categories. Neutral. Most mutations are neutral. They neither help nor harm survivors. These accumulate over time. That is why we have the molecular clock, because we know that over every generation you have between 50 to 100 mutations that we can actually account for. And over time, that can give us the molecular clock, allowing us to look back into time. You have deleterious, harmful, often removed by natural selection. For example, Tay-Sachs mutation or severe metabolic disorders. These individuals do not reach the age of reproduction, thereby not being able to to pass on this harmful mutation. Natural selection then takes these individuals or remove these mutations out of the gene pool. You have beneficial. Now, these are rare, but when they increase reproductive success, they spread. This is where evolution becomes visible in the rare but beneficial mutations. Mutations in human evolution. All right. Evolution is not about individual changing. We've already established that. It's a change in allele frequencies over time, and that the reproductive success of any particular allele is going to become predominant in any population where that allele is present. It is about changes in allele frequencies in populations over generations. Mutations introduce new alleles. Natural selection, drift, migration, and mating patterns determine their fate. So, for example, lactase persistence. The ability to digest lactose in adulthood is due to a regulatory mutation near the LCTG. Independent mutations occur in Europe, East Africa. These mutations increased in frequency because dairy consumption created selective pressures. Different populations evolved the same trait via different mutations. That is called convergent evolution. Example number 2, sickle cell trait. A point mutation in the HBB gene. So what is a point mutation? A single nucleotide change, right? A single nucleotide change. A point mutation in the HBB gene. One copy provides resistance to malaria. 2 copies, on the other hand, causes sickle cell disease. This is balancing selection. The mutation persists because in malaria regions, it offers survival advantages. So those that has that sickling or has that point mutation, right, they are better equipped to deal with malaria, thus reaching the age of reproduction, thus passing on these genes. Now, the problem becomes that sickle cell formation, because the gene has become so predominant that you get now hetero and homozygotes, right? And when you get a homozygote, right, you get a sickle cell formation because this gene now is represented on both sides of the lineage. Skin pigmentation variation. Mutation in genes like the SLC 24A5, the SLC 45A2, MC1R. Different populations evolve lighter or darker pigmentation independently. Important point for your audience. Skin color is not a single mutation. It is polygenetic. It evolved multiple times. Different populations evolve lighter or darker pigmentations independently. Skin color is not a single mutation. It is polygenetic. It evolves multiple times. Sample number 4, the FOXP2 and speech mutation in FOXP2 are associated with speech development. Human lineage shows specific changes compared to chimpanzees. This is part of the regulatory and neural development evolution. Different aspects of evolution produce different outcomes. So let's summarize it.
A mutation is a change in the DNA-based sequence of an organism, and they can be completely spontaneous and caused during DNA replication. There's 2 types of spontaneous mutation: base substitution mutations, which are also called point mutation, and frame shift mutations. Base substitution mutations, point mutations, are when one DNA base is changed for a different DNA base. So maybe when A is changed for C. This can lead to 3 different outcomes. So point mutations can lead to 3 outcomes. If we end up with the same amino acid, we call it a silent mutation. If we end up with a different amino acid from the base substitution, it's called a missense mutation. And if we end up with a stop codon, it's called a nonsense mutation. All of these are from base substitution point mutations. Another type of mutation is when we accidentally insert or delete bases from the DNA, and these can change the whole reading frame, so they lead to what we call frame shift mutations, which ultimately lead to a bound protein, an inactive protein usually.
All righty then, let's continue. You still with me? All right. What mutations are not? Mutations are not species turning into another species overnight. Mutations are not always harmful. Evolution does not wait for a big mutation. Humans did not evolve from modern apes. Humans did not evolve from modern apes. That's why we don't see chimpanzees turning into humans. Tune in tomorrow. Shout out to Gullah in his episode, in his program. Gonna dive into the whole idea of human evolution. Individuals do not mutate because they need to adapt. Again, individuals do not mutate because they need to adapt. So you see, when you're from a dark area and you move to an area where it's colder, you see you get lighter skin. See, that is adaptation. No, it's not. No. Stop it. Evolution is cumulative micro changes over deep time, successive generations. The only way to fully observe evolution is looking backwards and over deep time, because of the cumulative effect of these small changes, a mutation here, a mutation there, environment shift here, etc., etc. Selective pressures changing. These selective pressures do not change usually overnight. That would usually lead to extinction events, but it's gradual change in the climatic changes. If you see, for example, you have the ice ages, etc., etc. These are what we are talking about. Mutation plus natural selection plus drift. So now, mutation alone does not equal evolution. All that stuff we just did, trying to figure out what mutations are, how they work, they in themselves, they do not equal evolution. There's more required. Mutations, they provide the variations, right? Selection is done by natural selection. That is a sort and figure out what reaches the age of reproduction, what is viable in this environment. Then you have a genetic drift, right? These are the random changes in the allele frequency. Now you have gene flow because you have distinct population groups actually mixing. Now we are looking at the full picture of evolution. In a small population, drift can spread neutral mutations quickly. This is extremely relevant when discussing human migration out of Africa, bottlenecking, and the founder effect. See where we're going. Right. What is natural selection? Traits that increase reproductive success become more common. Example, lactase persistence in some pastoralist population. Not because they needed milk, but because individuals with that mutation reproduce successfully. They had the milk that allowed for those with a particular mutation to reach the age of reproduction more successfully, whereby that mutation spread throughout the population. The babies that grew up and weren't able to digest lactose, when lactose is the predominant source of food in their communities, they, of course, have less chances of reaching the age of reproduction or being successful at reproducing, whereby those that have the lactase gene that persists in adulthood becomes predominant in the population. So let's slow it down. Let's not look at humans. Let's look at these beautiful creatures and understand natural selection once and for all.
This is Lycopodius nulla, a simple creature with a tendency, like any other species, to reproduce offspring. Lots of offspring. Although the offspring inherit many characteristics of their parents, no two individuals in the population are exactly the same. This variation is vital to the survival of the species, as only a fraction of the lithoproteus will actually survive long enough to reproduce themselves. As a result, only those with characteristics best suited for survival in the environment will pass on these successful traits to the next generation. Those with characteristics less suited for the environment are less likely to survive and reproduce. This process is called natural selection, and over time and generations, it leads to the build-up of favorable characteristics in the population of the species. The result is a transformation of a population over time to suit its environment. This is known as adaptation. Environmental pressures can also change. But as long as variation in the population exists, new adaptations can occur, ensuring the survival of the species.
All right. Genetic drift. I think that explained Darwin's concept of natural selection very clearly. And I want y'all to take note of what is actually not part of the discussion. This is a random fluctuation of genes, especially in small populations. Genetic drift occurs by means of two mechanisms, the founder effect and bottleneck. What is the founder effect? The founder effect is a form of genetic drift. When a small group splits off from the larger population and forms a new population, the genetic variation in the new group reflects only the alleles carried by the founders, not the full diversity of the original population. The box of crayons analogy comes to mind again. You have a box of crayons with 100 crayons. With those 100 crayons, you can make 10 million variations. But you take 10 of those crayons out of the box and you take them over here, you can only get but 10,000 variations because of the amount of variety, the amount of different colors has been far reduced from the original stock. So now you're going to create your new drawings and new colors with a limited palette. You're going to create a new art form over here with a limited palette with only the 10 crayons that were selected out of the box of 100. Key point. This is a sampling error in evolution, not adaptation, not natural selection. Just chance. Okay? Just by that particular group splitting off. That is just chance. Now let's look at a fun fact.
Ancient humans nearly went extinct, with only 1,280 people left alive. That's not a myth. That's what a genetic study just found. And if they hadn't survived, you wouldn't exist. Around 900,000 years ago, something catastrophic happened. We don't know if it was a supervolcano, a climate shift, or something even worse, but it nearly wiped us off the planet. According to genome data from thousands of modern humans, our ancestors went through what's called a genetic bottleneck, where the population dropped from over 100,000 to just 1,280 breeding individuals. For over 100,000 years, humans were hanging by a thread, less than half the capacity of a stadium crowd, smaller than most villages today. That's how close we came to being nothing but fossils. And the craziest part, every human alive today descended from those survivors. So next time you look in the mirror, remember, you are the product of one of the narrowest escapes in history.
And with that, I already delved into the difference between the founder effect and bottlenecking. What is bottlenecking? Bottlenecking, population bottleneck. So population bottleneck happens when a population is drastically reduced in size and only a small number of individuals contribute genes to the next generation. Key idea, it's not about superiority. It is not about evolution forward. It is about reduced genetic variation due to survival through a narrow event. So even within the founder effect, you have a small group that breaks off. Let's say that group reproduces, reaches to a size, you can still have a bottlenecking within that founder effect, even further reducing the genetic variety in that particular population.
I know that a lot of students think that founder effect and bottleneck are the same because they both result in genetic drift, which is the random change in allele frequencies from generation to generation.
Although both modes of genetic drift ultimately have the same result, the two processes of how they came to be are completely different.
Bottleneck occurs when a population is reduced down to a few individuals, for example, due to a natural disaster like a flood.
Something that helps me to remember is to picture a bottle and visualize how the neck gets smaller and smaller as you move from the widest part of the bottle to the top.
Meanwhile, founder effect occurs when a small group leaves the main population to go and establish a new population. And remember, although the focus is now on the new population, the mainland population still exists with all of the initial genetic information.
As we just saw, both processes lead to genetic drift, but how we got there given each process was very different.
I hope that this video helped to clarify the topic of bottleneck versus founder effect.
Now, here's a short quiz with some real-world examples to solidify your understanding.
All righty then. Here we are. What you see before you is a human skin color distribution. You can see on the equator, you have the Tropic of Capricorn, Tropic of Cancer in the north. And this is the variation of skin color that you would find in these environments when exposed to natural UVV exposure. Now you can see, for example, Australia, and you say, well, wait a minute. Isn't that a dark skin tone represented in Australia? Yes, it is. That is due to natural migration. Over time, the population would grow a darker hue based on UVV exposure. This does not represent post-Columbian travel and the age of discovery all around the world where human migration took on a very artificial form, right? So keep that into context. So let's define clinal. A cline is a gradual change in a trait across geographic space. Now, let's break it down visually. So just like I was explaining, right? That's what that visual representation. You see the moving towards the equator, and you see even in that area, you have pockets of lighter hue based on UVV exposure. You see the higher regions in the Sahel, you got a lighter hue based on, again, the level of UVV exposure. So you see where the UVV decreases gradually, you see a lightening of skin pigmentation. These two processes go hand in hand. There is no sharp boundary, no sudden switch from one race to another. Look at the skin map again. Look at all those overlapping areas. There's no sharp boom bam cuts. Gradients, all within gradients. Everything is a gradient. Everything flows back and forth. No sharp lines, no hard cutoff points, no clear defined boundaries. So let's look at a practical example. If you walk from Central Africa to North Africa, to Southern Europe, to Northern Europe, skin tone does not flip at the border. See, look, watch the arrow, in the middle of the screen. You're going from here, see very dark, you get lighter, then you go back dark again, you get back lighter again, you get a little bit lighter again, you get a little bit dark again, you get a little lighter again, you get a little bit dark again. You see how that flows in and out over time and over distance. Gradual change. It represents the sunlight intensity. Cranial variation. Who is what, who, how, what. So now, overlapping means that traits are shared across population. There's no clean biological separation. Some East Africans have lighter skin than some Southern Europeans. We saw that just now, right? Let's go back. Let's go back. See here? Southern Europeans, North Africans. Southern Europeans, North Africans. Lighter skin tone, North Africans, based on the UVB exposure in their environment. Some Southern Asians share pigmentation level with North Africans. Let's go back again. Here you see North Africans, and sorry, right behind here you can see same variation in skin tone. Look here. See the same skin tone? It's based on UVB exposure. Genetic variation within Africa is greater than variation between many continental groups. Why is that so? Remember the box of crayons. So even if averages differ, the ranges is overlap. You have to think of it like this. These overlapping areas confuses and distorts all these concepts that we so necessarily are trying to project through science. While science is actually telling you those things you're attempting to do, haplogroups, cranial structure, limb proportion, all of this, pseudoisms. Which one are you going to separate? Put anything you want on the X and the I. Any trait you want to associate with your concept of race. Let's go. Put it there. Let's go. So let's put Caucasian white all the way at the beginning to 0 and just based on what the graph is, black all the way to the end. That whole curve, the first curve, that represents everything that you would define as white. The second curve represents everything that you would define as quote unquote black. So now what do you do with that area in between overlapping? You understand the confusion we create when we try to apply race and use science to support it. This is the confusion that is presented in my head when I'm listening to the diatribe and the argumentation and the nonsense. And they go, huh, what? confusion. Like I said, I'm tired of these unnecessary conversation that is rooted in ignorance and the attempts to weaponize science, where science gives you a tool to see that these concepts are not grounded in anything called reality. Which one black? Which one white? Tell me the Asian hands. Tell me the Aboriginal hands. Show me the Russian hands versus the Dutch hands. Come on, let's do the local ship like this. Go ahead. I double dare you. It's all about skin, right? So which race is who? Tell me the Dominican or the Latino. Nobody? Why does matter? This destroy the idea that skin color defines ancestry or that humanity breaks into discrete biological blocks. In the pause mode right now, right? Instead, human variation is gradual, continuous, and interconnected. One humanity. Not an isolated, categorical, racially essential. Not isolated, categorical, racially essential. Y'all know where I'm going with this one. Y'all see it already. Neanderthal, Denisovan. We tackling all of them. Let's go. Out of Africa, bottleneck. When a small group of Homo sapiens left Africa circa 60 to 70,000 years ago, right out of this here, you got the melting pot, see? And 3 melting pot, everything come up, they go out. They represented only a subset of the African genetic diversity. You see, Africa population spread all throughout Africa. See that 250,000 years ago? Human evolution was always highly diverse with distinct population groups. I'm going to say it again. When we talk about the greatest level of genetic diversity on the continent of Africa, and I hear people using the Africoid, and what does that represent? It is as if you are talking about a singular phenotypical and genetic group in Africa at some point in history. But as you can see there was always this large genetic diversity. Different groups in their environment developing differently based on their environment. So no singular African nothing. Never was, never will be. No singular African phenotype, no singular African hair texture, no single African skin tone, never was. No single actual African cranial structure, no single African limb. Never was. There never was. There never was. Non-African population today reflect that smaller gene pool. That's why genetic diversity is highest in Africa. So why do we pretend as if there's this one singular African thingy? because you don't want to take the time and respect the work needed to actually engage with this type of material, because your objective is singular. Confirmation bias only for your agendas. We're not having it anymore. It does not mean Africans were more evolved, non-Africans are mutants, or anyone is biologically superior. It means a smaller founding population carried fewer variants. That's why you have less genetic diversity in these other population groups. That's why the phenotypical range and skin tone expression are more uniform in smaller populations, because of less genetic diversity, because of the founder effect and bottlenecking at the point that this smaller group left Africa, the continent. That's population genetics, not hierarchy. Let's make it clear, daily. Bottleneck isn't evolutionary improvement. So the claims that are associated with Darwin's natural selection, as if that means some group evolved later, is nonsense. It often reduces variation. Bottleneck isn't racial creation. It's shift in genetic frequencies. So they went and that the Europeans and white people. Boom, bam. Yeah. What? Out of Africa, white people. Huh? What? How? Make that make sense? Bottlenecking does not equate to purity. It can increase uniformity, but that is not superiority. Is it clear? All right. Neanderthal admixture. Clearing the misconceptions. Let's go. First, what actually happened? Modern humans, Homo sapiens, evolved in Africa. Around 60 to 70,000 years ago, some populations migrated out of Africa and encountered Neanderthals in Eurasia. This was from an earlier migration out of Africa. Now, before modern humans, you had out of Africa migration. You see here, Denisovans, here, Neanderthal. These migratory tracks led to these population development of these two sister species of modern Homo sapiens sapien. Interbreeding occurred. As a result, most non-African populations today carry about 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA. Most sub-Saharan African populations carry little to none, though some small amounts appear due to back migration, which is what you can expect. That's the baseline. Okay, Neanderthal. All right. So let's continue. What are these misconceptions? Neanderthal DNA makes Europeans less human. Neanderthal James. This is biologically false. Neanderthals and modern humans were extremely closely related. They shared a common ancestor roughly 500,000 to 700,000 years ago. So that means via monophylology, they never evolved out of their own clade, so they belong to the same group. They could interbreed and produce fertile offspring. Neanderthals were not a different kind of being. They were not subhuman, a separate genus. They were a sister population within the genus Homo. Having 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA does not change species identity. All living humans are Homo sapiens. Africans are pure humans. 1 to 2% means significant difference. This is a misunderstanding of scale. Each person has 20,000 genes. 3 million base pairs. Neanderthal contribution 1 to 2%. And that percentage varies across individuals. Many Neanderthal genes were selected against over time. Some were retained because they were beneficial. So, if a particular gene helps my immune system, helps the immune system of a particular individual, reaches the age of reproduction, reproduces, that particular gene is going to be selected for. It's going to become prevalent in the population. Skin adaptation, possibly altitude tolerance. This is normal evolutionary exchange. Once you understand everything we explained about natural selection, allele frequency, and all that we've been doing up until this point, that 1 to 2% supposed to make sense now. Let's go. Neanderthals were primitive brutes. Archaeology shows Neanderthal used tools, controlled fire, possibly buried their dead, had symbolic behavior, had large brain volumes comparable to or more or slightly larger than modern humans. They were not cavemen caricatures. Captain Caveman! No. They were intelligent, adapted hominids. If we were interbreeding with Neanderthals, that means there was the ability to actually communicate to some degree with Neanderthals to reach to the point that you could interbreed. So how much more quote unquote primitive were they than modern humans? That is the question. Come on, man. All right. The scientific reality. Neanderthal admixture demonstrate human interbreed across populations when biologically compatible. Evolution is not linear or ladder-like. Remember, let's go back to the first couple of slides where we established all these parameters. Migration leads to gene flow. No population is genetically isolated or pure. This reinforces cranial overlapping variations and again, no racial hierarchy. Let's look at it. Common ancestor with Neanderthal, then you have the branching off as these particular hominids went into Europe, and these particular hominids stayed on the continent. You got the development of the San, the Yoruba, the Papua New Guineans, and in Europe you had the development of the Neanderthal and of course the lineage of the Denisovan. And you see here on the chart clearly where Neanderthal, some admixture, right, comes back into the lineage of modern human, creating that very, very small percentage of admixture. And you can see the lineage of Europeans, French, the Han Chinese, Papua New Guineans, all have some admixture of Denisovan or Neanderthal based on migratory patterns and where these particular lineages develop. That's it. So now, non-African population carry 1 to 2% DNA from Neanderthals due to interbreeding after humans left Africa. Huh? That makes them non-human, huh? That makes them less, huh? Okay. So, however, multiple genomic studies show that some African population also carry archaic admixtures from unidentified ghost hominid lineages. Oh, wait a minute. So you had sister lineages in Africa, but we just don't have clear definitions for them like Neanderthal or Denisovan, but they would be sister hominid. And these African archaic populations have no confirmed fossil attributes as inferred from genetic signals only, likely diverged from modern human ancestors about 100 to 200,000 years ago. So in Africa, we have sister clades that interbred with Africans same way that in Europe, Neanderthal interbred with Homo sapiens. So that means archaic admixture is not unique to Europeans or Asians then. It is part of normal human evolutionary history, right? So if you're making certain claims about Europeans due to their admixture with Neanderthal or archaic admixture, doesn't that apply to continental Africans just as well? We got some ghost genes up in there. I'm just saying, if it's good for the goose, it must be good for the gander. So the only difference, Neanderthals are known from fossil and genome sequence. African archaic hominids are inferred by genomic patterns, but lack identified fossils or sequence remains. So the key point, admixture with archaic humans happened both in and outside of Africa. Archaic admixture is a feature of human evolution globally, not a mark of racial distinction. Knock it off. So, what we've clarified, we're rounding it up. Genes come in different versions. Look at all the versions that genes come in right there. Those versions can become more or less common over time. Change happens at the population level. Migration, bottlenecks, mutation, and selection shape outcomes. Human variation is clinal and overlapping. Again, human variation is clinal and overlapping. So haplogroup 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and haplo 7, 8, 9, 10, and haplo represents. No, it doesn't. Stop it. These limb proportions represent, that means they're stop it. Slow down. Why do y'all need to prove race? If you want to race, get on a track. But you now need to knock it off with the nonsense. It's enough. No population is genetically pure. Neanderthal admixture does not make anyone less human. Genetic diversity reflects history, not hierarchy. These are biological realities, not political tools. Stop it. Knock it off. Misunderstanding evolution creates chaos because it turns population genetics into identity politics, statistical variation into racial essence, migration history into civilizational ownership, adaptive traits as destiny. When science is stripped of discipline, it becomes narrative, and narratives are easy to weaponize. So for the last time, misunderstanding evolution creates chaos because it turns population genetics into identity politics, statistical variation into racial essence, migration history into civilizational ownership. We West Africans somehow must be connected to Egypt. Stop it. Knock it off. Adaptive traits equal destiny. When science is stripped of discipline, it becomes narrative, and narratives are easy to weaponize. So the larger theme, which ties us back to episode 1, science is powerful, but only within its domain. Evolution explains how populations change. It does not explain who deserves pride, who owns civilization, who is superior, who is pure. Those are ideological questions. Biology doesn't answer them. So knock it off. Stop it. Quit. Give it up. Enough. Just knock it off. If we respect the method, evolution clarifies human history. If we bend the method, it becomes a tool of division. The science didn't create the confusion, the misuse did. If biology doesn't validate race categories, then where did race come from? We're going to explore that next week in the next edition of CED Talks. With that, I want to thank you for supporting and listening to me for the last, how long? Hour.
Already, man. You hear the crowd, man. They loving it. You know what I'm saying? I seen the brother in the front, man, shaking their head in confirmation, like, yeah, that's that piff right there. You know what I'm saying? That was dope. Man, so man, beautiful CED talk. My bad. Forgive me for
Yes, sir.
me. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I especially like when you showed that video of the natural selection when the thing was picking up the killing off the little things or whatever. Man,
You
I
see
seen
how
Go ahead.
behavioral changes is also an adaptation?
Right.
That's a regulatory system being shown right there, right? That's a beautiful, and it takes away the racial element. We're not looking at humans; we're just looking at a general how the process works, and you see adaptation and speciation. So that I think everyone could slow this video down, go back and look at it again, because I think we covered all the areas that needed to be covered, and of course we are going to open up the floor for a little bit. We don't want to make these videos too long.
Yeah, I'm gonna share it in the chat now. But yeah, man, y'all like and subscribe to the channel while y'all at it. You know what I'm saying? We see some, a lot of people done came in the building since then, which I already knew y'all was coming. You feel me? And man, make sure y'all, I'm gonna do a quick plug real quick. Hold on, I got the link in there. But man, y'all make sure y'all come back tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Just real quick, we got the boy
Good.
We got yeah. This one right here might be a little controversial, man. It might go down in history, yo. It's gonna be one of them ones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Tomorrow. So make sure y'all in the building. It's gonna be a whole lot of people thinking, you know what I mean? But we gonna get through it. You feel me?
Yeah.
And then Saturday we got, we got our main man Ant and me. We gonna be in the building. I think a few other people, you know what I'm saying, not confirmed yet, but we gonna
my
go
favorite show.
We gonna go in on mapping the universe.
Mapping
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So
one of my favorite shows, and the Brain Show. Man, y'all got to bring back the Brain Show, man. I love it when I could just sit home, don't need to comment in the chat, and just be floored by amount of information coming through me. I love those shows, man.
Already, man. I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing some more of them links, man. Hold on, we got one in the building. Thanos, what's going on, man?
Yo, can y'all hear me?
Yes,
you
sir.
You good.
Awesome. What it do?
It's Mac Rob.
It's me, baby.
What it do?
Mac Rob, Thanos in the building.
Hey, I use my little alias of Thanos, man, because I have to snap a few pseudos.
All right. In the blink of an eye.
Yeah. Get rid of half the population.
Yeah.
See, that was an awesome presentation, man. You actually did something I was hoping I could have did a few months ago, man. It was well put together. You had beautiful demonstrations, easy and simple to follow videos. You touched on some very important concepts of what evolution is, what it is not. You hit on the multiple mechanisms. Man, I thought that was awesome. Whether you was a person who was a beginner or a novice to an advanced person who may know a little bit about evolution, I thought it covered all borders. Great work. Great.
I appreciate it, because that's I think like we've been having these conversations, and if I keep saying, I'm seeing areas where the information is being misunderstood because the concepts are not grounded, then I think it warrants us slowing these conversations down and actually delving into these things, fleshing them out so that we have more coherent conversations, right? We talk about changes in the allele frequency over time, but what's a allele,
Right.
right?
Beautiful.
Yeah, so we need to slow the conversation down.
True indeed, man. We got a God killer himself in the building. What it do?
Man,
What it do?
hey man, glad to be on TED Talk, man, with Thanos and Kick Door Low,
Ah,
man.
say it talk, man.
You know what I'm saying? Thanos and Kick Door Low. You know what I'm saying?
Already.
Glad to be a guest on CED Talk, man. And we
True
got the
indeed.
foolery in the chat.
I try to tell. Hey, come on up, Pan. Don't run on me.
He's
Come
so
on up, Pan Africa James.
Look, Homo neanderthalus and Homo Denisovan is a hybrid. And I'm just keep it right there.
True indeed.
And man don't know a brown bear and a polar bear. It's basically the same. He don't know that. That's why you didn't tell him. Tripping.
Watch Animal Planet, man. Come on, bro. Got to.
Oh boy, the concept of hybrids. Oh man, I should have touched on what a hybrid is and isn't. Right?
Man, we got plenty of time, man. Come on, man. We got weeks. We got a whole year to get this thing out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As,
we're gonna
We
break
got
it
forever.
down.
as
Break
they
it
come
down to
up, we
brick.
knock them down. Yeah, as they come up, we knock them down.
Hey, look, we're gonna build this house brick
Yo,
by
bro,
brick,
stop
man.
the call.
Brick
Put that.
by brick.
Today, man. What been going on with your aunt, man? What's on your mind, man?
Hey, how many people got in the chat?
I don't know. Let's see.
About almost 30,000, 28, 30,000.
Just real quick, I want to let the audience know that you had a conversation with an old friend of mine today. Is that not true, Mr. Kick Door Low?
Oh yeah, man. Talk to the source, man.
Source itself.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And who was this guy? Do you remember his name?
Mr. Bun.
Mm-hmm. And who was Mr. Bun in my life? Who was this guy in my life, there, bro?
He was the dude that brought you into the Wapian joint. Taught you or gave you the books or whatever that you was getting or whatever from him.
And what he say? What was his basic from it? What he say?
He said, yeah, you ain't never meet him. You ain't never meet Dr. York.
Right.
He said,
Did he ever talk to Dr. York?
He said you ain't never talked to him, you ain't never meet him, none of that.
Right.
He was pretty much the person that you got all of that from.
Right. And what did he say? Did he say I do the alien thing? What was he basically saying about me and my questions?
He said, man, because he was like, man, what kind of stuff I was trying to get from you or whatever. He was like, nah, man. He said he wasn't getting the alien stuff or the crazy stuff. He was more interested in like the historical shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I said, man, he wasn't thinking Malachi was walking through the walls and levitating. Like, nah, man. Man, and then I'm proud of him because he went on to get out of that and do bigger things. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. I mean, but yeah, if anybody know, it would have been that dude Bun or whatever because he was actually in it.
Yeah, he was in it. Mm-hmm.
He was running. He was teaching classes. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody would have said Unc was a Nuwapian and met York and supported that, it would have been Bun. Most definitely.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I just want you, people that I really, really fuck with, yo. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted, I wanted to introduce him to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't even care about the other people. You know what I'm saying? Because they mean absolutely nothing to me. Right? People that try to defile my character, no, they don't mean nothing to me, yo. So I figured, I said, let me hit Kick Door Low. Let me just call this guy up. But I am going to have an interview with my film man, right? And my producer of the show, Black Atheists of Atlanta, and Real Black Atheism, the producer, yo. So I'm gonna let everybody meet him. Tell you what kind of camera he was using back in the day. I remember back in the day we used to scam YouTube, yo. Like you get views, fake views and all that, make money off of it. We was getting them early in the game, yo. So we're gonna have a great conversation around we used to have a studio and all that, right? The cable show. A lot of people know me from that, yo. And y'all gonna be pleasantly surprised. Yeah, you know, my whole career is based off of beating the hell out of York and any whopping information because I felt like it was a pillar in pseudoisms, right?
Yep.
I mean, he had the, you know, he had the whole operation, the land, the bookstores, he had everything, yo. So, you know, go ahead. You was about to say something.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, man, we know you don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't even want to bring light to it because it's really minor shit
Mm-hmm.
that somebody just trying to bring up to get, you know, some shine or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody know you don't support that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, when Polite was them out here scamming, we was the ones telling everybody don't mess with Polite. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? We was the ones showing that he had pseudo information. They threw
Mm-hmm.
tomatoes at us. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? They tried to shut us down, talking crazy about us the same way other people do. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And then, but when he got locked up, then everybody
They
turned on
switch.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and acted like we ain't never told y'all not to mess with the nigga in the first place.
Yeah, that's the wildest thing
You
of
know,
it,
but I
yo.
don't want to throw the subject off or whatever. But it's funny how people move, man, and they try to say you support things when they know damn well you don't.
Mm.
You know what I'm
No.
saying?
So I say all that to say that beside myself, I think it's very valuable to have sad talks like that, right? Like you don't know how important that is to build a strong foundation. Cedric, it is, yo. Thanos, you don't know, I don't think you recognize how important it is to have you around and have you on the team, man, based off your qualifications, what you do in the real world. And I just want to let everybody know that both of the brothers, man, the thing they talking about, yo, they lived a life, right? The whole vaccine thing, them two brothers lived the life. They was on ground zero for their community in real time, right? Making sure we got nothing wrong. And this is important to have real qualified people. These are real qualified people. They ain't just reading books, you know what I'm saying, like I do and learn. They in it, right? They was in it. And I just like to give a shout out to having a real professional team, you know, just around this period and kick door low. You know, I respect you to the highest level, bro. You know what I mean? That's real. And I appreciate all the pseudo kill officials, man. Been real loyal, you know, to the point where people, you know, they make wild statements because they wish they could have that type of loyalty. But see, the loyalty towards me is not based off of the fact that I will make up something and lie to them. The loyalty is because people believe in the vision that we all share to make sure people never get caught up in that situation where they could be in a cult or run around and promote misinformation. Right? That's where the loyalty comes from. That they believe in educating people to look just like me and you, yo. That's the vision right there. It ain't got nothing to do with me. At the end of the day, yo, we truly believe that based off what we say out our mouth, need to be accurate, it need to be to the point, and we're never allowing a nut to come on the platform and misspeak about some, even my enemies. I'm never allowing a wild coon from the moon to play a video, mischaracterize it, and allow my enemies. I'm never doing that because if you do that, you become the very thing that you claim you're fighting against. Back to our show. That was a sponsored moment right there. Big up the said talk.
Already. You never
Let
know what
me
you
uh,
might.
let me just add this little caveat. If you think that we represent the cult, that we have one head or one direction, we fight like cat and dogs. But our ability to fight like cat and dogs is because we stand on the principle of just having solid and correct information, right? And everybody gets their turn, right? I've been put through the ringer on several occasions, man, because of a debate. We went in because we just want accurate and correct information so that the moment these subjects come up again, we are accurate and correct. The notion that because we stand unified with our principles makes us a cult That is wild. In a community that is talking about solidarity, that is talking about growing together, we represent people from different walks of life, different opinions that can stand firm on a principle that is grounded in a methodology, honesty, and truth, right? Take an example of the pseudo killers if you want to do anything.
Already.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's some real stuff right there, man.
That's major. I appreciate the love too, brother. Shout out, if I may, let me shout out to Gary, Gideon, Black Panther. We see y'all in the chat showing love. Omar Reed, Posterius, Sunchild. Just want to
See Gideon in the building.
hit that link, folks. Even if you enjoyed the show, y'all hit the link and ask a few questions. Said, if I may, kind of brought up a good point. He mentioned the vaccines, right? And you and I think we have some level of knowledge about viruses, right? So when you talk about natural selection, is there a relationship between viruses and natural selection? And if there is, how would you explain that?
Viruses and natural selection, all right, especially pre-vaccines, right?
Right.
Those that survived those infections, first of all, developed an immunity. You have ERVs, for example, that are coded now within the DNA of those individuals. So that means those offspring that came from parents that survived, right? They now were allowed the opportunity to propagate the alleles frequencies that were in their parents that allowed their parents to survive. So now, and if you look at, for example, a great extinction events like the bubonic plague, and these type of pandemics that happen in the old world, you see that successive generations were so well equipped that they were carriers of these viruses to populations in the new world that were not exposed to it.
That's powerful. Good stuff.
We had a question on there. Hold on one second. Go ahead. Malcolm, you was about to say something?
No. That was
no.
Yeah.
Shout out to Alex PK Keaton as well. Where is that? Hold on a minute, man. But go ahead, y'all. I'll find it in a second.
So you see that, for example, viruses play a direct and indirect role. They can cause bottlenecking, which decreases the gene pool, right? Which has an effect on natural selection and the expression of particular allele groups in a population. And it can also have an effect, as we see with the ERVs, in the individual who passes on now this ability to synthesize and combat this gene from within their genetic makeup.
Already. So Pan-African James, since he don't want to hit the link, I'll just go ahead and post this question from earlier. He said, so is the guy saying there's no phenotypical differences amongst humans? He was asking that from you, Cedric. I'll let you go ahead and answer that. You muted, I think, Sid.
Sorry, I was saying just a second, share my screen. You can see where I addressed that specific point. Here you go.
Yeah, I don't know where he got that from, but okay.
So now, here, overlapping means that traits are shared across population. What it means that there's no clear biological example. So from some East Africans may have lighter skin than Southern Europeans. But you see, I'm talking about East African versus Southern European. So these are two distinct genetic populations, right? Two distinct groups, but there are overlap. That's what I'm talking about. There is overlap. So now if you take one graph, which represents Europeans, you would take that graph by itself, take the other one out. That's everything that you define as European. You make a chart and you have these 15, 20 points whereby you define European. Now you're going to go in African and you're going to have 20 points that you define African. And when you look at the graphs, 10 of these points are going to overlap, which is indicative of fluidity. So there's no clear demarcation line. You cannot say, well, here, because if you take what you define as a race and you compare that to other group as you define as a race, whether it be limb proportion, whether it be skull morphology, whether it be skin tone, whether it be eye shape, whatever trait you determine to attribute to a particular race, Neanderthal James, you are going to find this overlap whereby it nullifies that whole concept. Neanderthal James, define the race here. Show me the Chinese. Go ahead. I'll wait. You know what? Show me the African. According to you, there's this singular African type, right? Which is it?
That's some African hands right there to the bottom left.
Yeah.
But you know what would be crazy though is, what if you look at the face and it's a Indian looking dude with straight
exactly, exactly.
Hair. I was thinking that earlier. I was like, man, seriously, damn well there's some black ass hands in that bottom left corner. I don't even want to say it, but like I said, it's not like it might just be a dark skinned Indian.
Yep, a Melanesian. Yeah, a Melanesian.
Yeah, so you can't even tell by that. But you know what I'm saying?
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So Neanderthal James, that answers your question.
And then he asked, is a grizzly bear a polar bear?
No, but they're the same species. They're just subsets. So their interbreeding is because they are within the same clade. That's not hybridization.
Already. Yeah, man. Y'all make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you, Miss Lisa, man. I see you in there representing. Strong support over the years, man. Pseudo Killer official. See you, Kevin Chill in the building. What's happening with you?
They got the chill.
You know what I mean?
They got the chill.
Yeah, man. Unc, you want to tell them you got your debate coming up? Promote that?
Yeah. That's coming. That's coming. Not next weekend, at the next, man. I'm the story subject right here, the Outer Africa theory. I think that's important. And the whole conversation, man, because all that's going to tie you back into really recognizing who you are, right? I'm also going to beat up Ifa. He's confused. I know you don't actually practice E5. That's another point. But I'm on his head, right? For even remotely thinking, right? He could get with me on the subject. He tripping.
Man,
but now he's saying what I'm saying. See, that's what they do. You beat him up to the point where they say, I was saying what you was saying. Let me let y'all know something right now. I'm never arguing with a dude for 3 hours saying the same goddamn thing I'm saying.
Y'all just agreeing with each other and yelling at each other at the same time. What's going on, man? That's the biggest trick in the book, yo. Yeah, no, I'm saying the same thing. What the hell?
I'm clearly stating my position in opposition to the thing that you said. And when I'm done making my diatribe, you say, you see, we agree. That's exactly what I'm saying. Hell no, you're not.
It don't make no sense. It's the same way they did this in the Egyptian argument. All of them. Experts saying what we saying.
Yeah, man. Y'all was supposed to let me in on the the marketing, man. I didn't know it was that. I didn't know y'all had a debate coming up.
We ain't get that.
It just popped up out of nowhere, yo. I didn't know what was going on. Y'all Y'all got to let me in on the movie, man.
I didn't know neither. The movie popped up out of nowhere. But now, obviously, we saying the same thing. So some kind of way, the debate then fell off because we saying the same thing.
And tricked us.
Tricked us. But what I will tell you is, not to apply it, right? It's proto-astronomy. And proto-astronomy ain't fucking astronomy.
Not at all.
It holds the word itself, puts it in its proper position, and puts it in it's a placeholder for its proper positioning. Prior to, proto, foundation of, all that, all above. All right? It's not astronomy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to know about the type of math they had. Yeah, I hear a lot of speculation, bro. I don't know. I don't know what kind of math they had. The kind of math you say, you'll move that 3 steps over here and put that. I don't know. Go get it.
Hey, tell me if this analogy makes sense, yo. It's like a baby to a man. A baby ain't a man. Both of them human, but a baby ain't a man. So a baby would be proto-astronomy, and a man would be astronomy.
I didn't understand that. He's basically I think Sosa's basically trying to say that the baby.
Sosa say that too? I thought I
have a different.
He said that today. We was all remember.
Oh yeah. No, I came in. I popped in and popped.
See, my analogy.
I missed it.
My analogy is transportation, right? We all humans all with transportation movement, but at the moment we develop cars, we are not now going to go and talk about driving because they had a horse and buggy.
I'm driving a horse and buggy. I'm driving a horse.
Man.
Listen, man, I tell you what get me. And I wish Anthony was somewhere, but this would get me. Cedric, you said it the best. You said playing that game that way, trying to make it the same, is a recipe for disaster. You said something like this. It's a platform for pseudoism when all of a sudden they had a high level civilization with this, with that, with that. You say it's a bridge to that.
Yep.
You got to keep them in their place. Keep the ancients in their proper place where they was at. Keep the hunter-gatherers and herders in their proper. Why the hell would a herder need high-level mathematics?
to prove the 5th dimension by the step pyramids.
Man, look.
At 7,500 BCE, yo, think about this for a minute, man. This is what's funny to me. People don't really care about indigenous people at all, to the point where they want to have a whole conversation about some people that didn't even exist. There was not a people that not apply it. They had high-level mathematics, recognition, astronomy. Those people didn't exist. What did exist was people that had proto-astronomy and figured out a way to track, quote-unquote, track the monsoon rains, the summer solstice. The wild part about it is none of y'all listen to this program right now. If they say we're going to give you $2 million, right, if you can track and figure out and put the stones for the summer solstice, y'all be done.
So when we're looking at weather patterns, that is clearly housed within meteorology, right? Studying weather patterns. So now we're taking these people's understanding of weather patterns, local weather patterns, and applying the word astronomy to it, and now creating the illusions that these people was trying to figure out the redshift and the Doppler effect. Like, come on.
Come on, man.
Gotta let it go.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I refuse to do it.
Why do you need a jet plane, yo? Right? Like, why do you need a helicopter, yo? Like, what do you do with a helicopter and not the plane? Hey, yo, we got the helicopter. We're gonna shoot the cattle from here.
Pew, pew, pew.
I don't know. It's a thing, man. They need the ancients to have some type of damn advanced knowledge, yo. It's like, I remember old boy said the ancient Africans knew the fields. But they knew about what was it?
But it is advanced. Hold on, bro. It is advanced
physics and shit.
Right. It is advanced for their time period, though. Y'all get that? For the space they in, what they accomplished was advanced, yo.
Or even the basic shit was advanced.
Right. It wasn't basic to them.
Right.
No, that was advanced stuff, bro.
Think about the wheel when they first created the wheel, yo. That was some advanced technology back in them days.
Listen, without the wheel, we don't have a car. So the first wheel, right, was a proto car.
Yeah, there's got to be a step before you get to the point. And so, there's a gradual movement into the process. So I think, science is a formal process with strict equations and a formalized method that will help you falsify an experimentation, as opposed to just observation.
Exactly.
Over generations, note pattern recognition. Yeah.
I keep saying like this, right? My daughter now comes home and she comes home with her science experiments, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's in third grade and she's watching how a seed develops into a plant, right? So now she's watching observations. She's learning how to systematically document and going through that observation stage, right? So now I'm going to misappropriate the term, right? And now come on here and talk about the science that my daughter is doing, right? Not mention the experiment. And I'm going to continue to talk about the science that my daughter is doing and the science that my daughter is doing. And y'all thinking, which university is his daughter in? What PhD does she have? And what field is she doing science in, right? Because when I use science, that is what I'm implying. So we understand that what my daughter is learning is the basic and rudimentary steps that will eventually lead to her becoming a scientist if necessary. But that isn't science. But in a colloquial sense, there she's doing science, right? So we need to be mature enough, adult enough to put the things in its proper context when we are having these conversations.
All day.
Question.
I see Sunshine asking to step up. I was just gonna add to that by saying humans don't just pop into a position. And for some reason, people don't understand the evolution of not only biology, but the evolution of society and how ideas met from one generation to the next. The gradual step that you go to before you get to a helicopter. Like you don't just pop out, I'm gonna make a helicopter, but I'm gonna live in a pyramid. You know what I mean? There are information is building across generations for millennia before you get to nuclear fusion or fission or an atomic bomb. You see what I'm saying? So
just the ability to know you have to angle the blades to create lift took how many years?
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Well, that's what I say about human exceptionalism, right? We brag about how intelligent we are. I said, well, God damn, it took you 7 million years to get there.
You should be. It's about damn time.
Already, man. We got the infamous Son Child, the Warrior, author of Poor 3. Make sure y'all go get that in the building. What's happening with you, man?
He's scared. What's good with y'all?
Ain't too much, man. You got a question about Darwin again, man? What's going on with you, man? What's on your mind, bro?
Yeah, I got a question regarding Darwin. In relation to the last show you had, Ken, you and Sosa had a show about human exceptionalism.
Right.
And throughout this show about human exceptionalism, y'all spoke about intelligence, human intelligence. But I would like to suggest to you that Darwin himself proposed a different aspect of human exceptionalism than intelligence. And I want to know, can you tell me or anyone else tell me what human exceptionalism is according to Darwin in The Descent of Man?
Well, I didn't read The Descent of Man, so I wouldn't be able to tell you what he meant by that.
Can anyone on the panel tell me what, according to Darwin in Descent of Man, is human exceptionalism, makes humans exceptional? And it's not, it's
humans assume their exceptionalism because that is the nature of the beast. However, that exceptionalism is only related to criteria that we hold in regard our ability to speak, the fact that we create art. However, if we would equate ourselves to animals in terms of their survivability, can we circumnavigate this globe by pure instinct and take the exact same path that most marine mammals do? No. Are we therefore exceptional in that sense? So it's relative. I'm seeing Chill saying human empathy. That is one of the abilities that we have. Yeah, our ability to have empathy, our ability to feel what another individual feel or approximated, that is unique to humans. I think. I'm not sure.
But I think so now that because Chill said the same thing. He said the answer to your question is empathy. But I've heard that other apes have been shown to have empathy as well.
Yeah,
it's not
sense
just
of fairness.
Yeah, so it's not just unique to Homo sapiens. There's other chimps.
Yeah, and we've seen that behavior in birds as well, a sense of fairness, right? They would actually share when one has been given a proportionately larger amount versus the other. I do not necessarily know if that is empathy. However, they have the ability to distinguish what fair. So no, we need to share even. So that is a form of empathy as well. So again, the more we engage with animals, the more and more we're seeing that our sense of awareness is not unique, right? There is no argument right now whether a dog can actually feel pain or have emotions or miss a human being. These are no longer assumptions.
The word that Darwin used in chill is correct in essence, but the word he actually used, Darwin, is sympathy, not empathy, but sympathy, which are I suppose are related. I'm getting a lot of feedback from someone. I think someone needs to mute out. Unless it's me. I don't think it's me.
No, you good enough.
That's it.
Yeah, but it's sympathy is what Darwin spoke of, and to quote Darwin, he said sympathy was the noblest of our qualities, of human qualities. He said it was the noblest part of our nature, to quote him in The Descent of Man. And in that essence, what he says is he is speaking about what we had spoken about last time about the white man's burden and of what to do with the weak in our species. And he speaks about, he addresses it scientifically. I think I spoke with y'all about the fact that it's not so much of a misconstruing of Darwin's ideas, but he addresses the implications of his work, and he says that the only thing to check what he considers he uses the word our hard reason. He says that reasonably that it would be good for the species if we were to eliminate the weak of the species reasonably. He said with all hard reason tells us. And then he goes into saying that when you breed animals, any breeder of animals, he says, knows that it's best to breed to eliminate the weak of the species. Otherwise, it'll be injurious to the human species. So he kind of uses a dialectic.
Land your plane.
Well, he uses a dialectic. Darwin does.
What's the point?
I'm gonna land my plane. I'm landing. But what I'm saying to you is in this section, we can look at it if you'd like, but he actually draws a dialectic, if that's the right word, between intelligence and...
What is the point you're trying to make? Your point, what you land your plane.
Well, my point is that Darwin makes, you guys, when you spoke about what the idea of human exceptionalism is, you mentioned, you only spoke about intelligence, but Darwin draws a sharp dialectic between intelligence or hard reason and sympathy. And he says that
one more time. What is your point?
Well, my point, like I said, is when I first came on, I asked you, what is Darwin's idea of human exceptionalism? And it's not so much intelligence and hard reason. He says that the highest and the noblest of our nature is our capacity to be sympathetic and compassionate.
Yeah, they said empathy, Sunshine. I think that was the answer to your question.
No, not yeah. Well, empathy is a part, but he uses the word sympathy or compassion. He says that
you're repeating yourself. I'm gonna ask you one last time. I don't have the patience, so I'm gonna do it one more time. I'm very civil. What is your point?
Well, my point, I'll ask it to you as a question, Brother Cedric. What is your opinion of the idea that Darwin himself thought that sympathy or compassion is the noblest of human qualities? It is the noblest, he says, of our nature, and it is what is used to check our intelligence and our hard reason of science. Because in Descent of Man, he says that all our hard reason in science would tell us to eliminate the weak of our species, but we have to check ourselves with love or sympathy and compassion.
Okay, thank you.
And I would like to know what your opinion is on that.
Thank you, Sunshine. Mute your mic now. Thank you. Okay.
You muted, Uncle. Can't hear you.
I'm muted?
Yeah, you good now.
What the hell is Sunshine? Why don't you just get to the point? He can't land the plane. He ain't got no landing gear.
I think you got an answer you wanted though, Sunshine. Like I don't understand what
he said something else. We want to kill it. Our nature is to kill everybody. What did he say? What did he say?
No, he said Darwin said that one of our highest qualities is our ability to have sympathy and all of that.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if that's a compliment to Darwin. Sometimes
a compliment or
you liked that?
No, it's a setup somewhere.
You liked it that part?
It's a setup in there somewhere. Yeah. Give it to some students. Man, students. So
trying to figure out. I think you like Darwin. I think you on board with Darwin now, Sunshine. Right. I think you like it.
I mean,
I remember
no, Sunshine, no, Sunshine, don't come off mute anymore. That's it. You don't come off mute again. You have the floor. I kept asking you. Now you don't come off the mic no more. That was complete nonsense, and it is a testament to when someone has a believer state of mind. He needs a God. He cannot function without a God. At no point in this diatribe did Darwin come up. Why? I engage in science. I do not worship individuals. I do not care what Darwin 8 said did. What is the mechanism? How can I use this mechanism to engage with the data and reality? I operate on a scientific merit. I do not operate on God's basis. You have gods. So, Darwin said this, Darwin said that. My dad died, and since my dad died, I don't quote another man, period. Darwin said this. It's irrelevant to the conversation. Darwin is dead. Sunchild. Bones.
Okay, I understand, Cedric. I understand that it is I understand
irrelevant, non sequitur to any conversation that we're having. One man's opinion is his opinion. We
I
deal
understand.
with the mechanisms, and what they produce is the body of work that was presented tonight. Had nothing to do with Darwin as an individual. His mechanism was beautifully exposed, explained, and illustrated tonight. The mechanism. At no point did you see in that presentation any individual being mentioned.
Think about it.
Indeed, you are
mechanisms.
Think about it like this, son.
You are correct. You are no, hang on, Ken. You are correct, Cedric. And I asked if I could ask a question about Darwin specifically, and I was told sure. But I would say that Kent and Sosa had a show last time about human exceptionalism, and they said they'd have a second part. Perhaps this conversation is more appropriate for that when they do that, and I would like to perhaps express this on what Darwin's idea of human exceptionalism is. And I think it'll be rather enlightening, because you only spoke about intelligence, and according to Darwin, that's not what makes humans exceptional. It's not their intelligence and hard reason or scientific fact. It is our capacity to be sympathetic and compassionate, which I equate with love.
Dead and gone. His opinion is no longer relevant. The only thing that makes Darwin relevant is the mechanism. So when we're discussing Darwinism, we should be discussing his mechanism. Because a dead man, his opinion is of no relevance to my existence. He is dead and gone. Bones, ashes, whoosh, no more. His opinion has died with him. I don't care. His mechanism, the mechanism that he exposed and expressed lives on, and that's all we should be concerned with. Why are you so engaged with man worship?
Well, I'm only engaged. I'm not the one worshiping Darwin. I don't think I'm the one doing it. That's why I'm always bringing it up.
You know, we got more information. We got more information too. You know that, right? Like that was
with regard.
Darwin was just the beginner.
Yeah, like you know how many years it went since Darwin, bro? What we got, like 20 years? Yeah, so you don't think we learned more about humans in 20 years, bro? Is that what you say? Are you saying that we gotta say what that nigga saying 20 years ago? We're not talking even the scientific theory.
Way more
precise. Is open. They've added genetics to it, all that, bro. Like, I mean, do you be playing with us up here, or just want to be? What is it that you doing? Seriously, bro.
So I'm gonna tell you what it sounds like, Sunshine. It sounds like to me that you feel the need to discredit Darwin as his character.
Is that what it is?
To try to discredit his work. The thing is, we don't care about his character when it comes to the work, because the work is backed by the evidence and the data. That's all we care about, is the evidence when it comes to natural selection. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's what you're trying to do, or if that's what you think, you know, because you feel like he might have been this, that, or whatever, that if he was a bad person and that makes his work bad.
Yeah, it's great.
Is that where you going with it?
Not true.
No, I'm not.
Or are you trying to tell us that you just liked that part of the book where he said empathy was the highest point of man?
That's all he got out the whole damn book. Did you read it? No,
I'm just asking. Is that what you saying, Sunshine?
No, I'd like to dig deeper into that. What is it? I would say dialectic or the diametric that he presents between intelligence or hard reason and sympathy and compassion. And he says, if we were to continue on with what we know to be scientifically correct, we would have to pay for it with our conscience. We cannot do this without considering the evil in what he is saying is natural to do scientifically and in the animal kingdom, if we are indeed animals. So he says that naturally, and he pretty much writes out the idea of eugenics in his writing, but he says if we are to go through with this, which would be against our hard reason to do, because as he says, all species that should be bred, and the weakest of the species should be eliminated, which is good for this species in the long run. But he says, if we are to do this and continue with our hard reason, it would take away the noblest of our nature, which is our sympathy or compassion. And I find that very, very interesting coming from Darwin. What he is saying is what makes humans exceptional is our capacity to love and be sympathetic and compassionate. And I'm bringing it up because that's what the conversation about human exceptionalism was. And you guys only spoke about intelligence. But according to Darwin in his work, The Descent of Man, love and intelligence are actually counter to each other. And what makes us human, our highest capacity as humans, is our capacity to be sympathetic and compassionate and loving. And I do commend him on that, but he pretty much lays it out that scientifically and reasonably, the right thing to do is to eliminate the weak of the species. And then he talks about breeding animals.
Man, enough of that,
animals,
man. What the hell are you talking? I can't do it. You're lying, you're making it up, misreading, you're doing everything possible. To be nuts. Anything possible. That man ain't never say the weak amongst it. Stop it, Sunchild.
Hey, so I'll say this, Sunchild. Me and Social probably will do another one on that.
Right. What's
and
up,
we'll continue that conversation over there with that. We don't want to bog it down with that, okay?
Sure, and it is in his writing, The Descent of Man, directly. I'd like to look at the passage directly where he talks about the the noblest part of our nature, and why we shouldn't, and I think that's very important.
All right, cool beans, man. Hey, appreciate you coming on, man. Hey, Grant in the building, man.
What's up? In the building, how you doing, my brother? Good to have you back.
Good. Yeah. I mean, I think. Thanks for having me. I just want to make it quick. I think the problem, and I think Sunchild, I think you're conflating a couple of things here. Number one, this isn't a conversation about our better nature, our exceptionalism. It's in the title. What you need to know about evolution. That's it. That's all that we're talking about. Evolution, and they were the whole point of it was to explain the mechanisms of it, so you can understand it in its broadest, like in its most broadest sense, so you can have an umbrella of knowledge that you can drill into that will come in subsequent shows, correct? But if you want to talk about exceptionalism, correct, that's a whole different set of ideas. Number one, and you're also landing in a world in which you assume that humans are exceptional, and there isn't any proof of that. We may be unique, which we are in relation to other animals in the animal kingdom, but we're not exceptional. These are just millions upon millions of things happening over billions of, correct? Mm-hmm. This is an is-ought problem. We perceive that because we are or is, correct, humans, or we are humans, that humans ought to be in the world, but that is just by accident. This is all randomized things that have occurred, and it just so happens that humans has been a byproduct of all these mechanisms. That is it. And the question about Darwin, talking about our better nature, he was pointing out something which we all can observe, correct? He was observing something that is happening in the animal kingdom. You can see animals who aren't going to allow themselves to be held back. It's a reasonable observation that those problems happen in nature. And what he was trying to explain and try to put out there is that part of being our human evolution, this ability to be in this sort of community with other humans, is to gain this empathy, to gain some level of sympathy, and be able to take care of those who may not have the arms or legs or have a disability. That is a very cool thing that we evolved with, and we came up with ways to deal with that. And that is part of us having the brains that we have, correct? And that is an important thing to note in these conversations, that it doesn't come from some magical place in the sky. It comes from our brains being able to process, I need to solve this problem for this person who is within my group, because humans are an in-group, out-group mammals, correct? We are animals that are thinking, I have this collection of people around me that I have that are part of me. And so I want to see this grouping of people thrive. And then I'm going to use my big brain to figure out this very hard problem that I couldn't figure out at my earlier parts of being human, correct? Our primates or other primates aren't necessarily doing those things at the levels that we are. And in essence, this gave us an advantage. We were able to bring more people along, we can have more variations, etc. That you cannot think about this coming from upon high, that this is something magical that is sort of sprinkled upon humans, that this is almost all from what's coming up here, that our brains were able to grow in a way that allowed for us to think in the ways that we're able to think in order to help others within our in-group. Now in the modern world, sure, we have 7 billion people, maybe 8, I don't know, I think it's 7 or 8 billion. We're a much larger group of people. And so it's hard to think of ourselves in in-group and out-group, but technically we are still functioning under that apparatus today. So that's important to us being humans. And the moment we stop doing that, we are in grave danger, correct, of dismantling all the things that we've done as humans to get to this place in time. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That is the whole thing that we've been talking about. We when I talk about the Bible now, for example, the Genesis narrative, it is no longer with the emphasis to discredit it or show that it doesn't comport to modern science. I can now take a look and put my mind at where these people were without the tools, without the understanding that we have, and come up with this story. It is ingenious attribute to human imagination, right? But when we try to equate these things to modern science, when we overwhoop what the ancients had, we are taking them out of their historical context and not acknowledging the steps necessary to get to where we are today, right? Like one of the in one of the clips, people, I'm trying to make us aware that how lucky we are and how ingenious, like how inventive humans were. We were down to 1,200 individuals to be the most prolific species on this planet, to have been able to inhabit every single ecological niche on the hard surface of this planet is a testament to our ingenuity as a species, right? And that took us billions of years, right, of accumulative knowledge to get to that point. And retrofitting what we know today, anachronistic framing of arguments and history distorts the picture, puts us in a less progressive position than we actually are, in my opinion. Right? And you hear it in the diatribe. The ancients were far more civilized. They had were they? Can you show me where I can plug my iPhone in? Can you show me where I can plug the charger in the pyramid? Anywhere?
Well, can I ask you, Cedric, why did Darwin consider the people that he met as savages? I think they are called the Fuegians. Why did Darwin? What traits did they have that Darwin considered them savages? You know,
I don't know. Darwin's dead.
Well, one of the main reasons that Darwin considered these people,
they ain't had no clothes on.
No, one of the main reasons that Darwin considered these people savages is that they did not have private property. They did not have a sense of ownership of the land. And this was perhaps the most influential thing on Darwin's mind. Is that well, you can look up, if you do a Google search of reasons Darwin considered the primitive people that he saw as savages, the number one reason he thought they did not have private property.
Okay, so check this.
Another one of the reasons that was kind of what that was eventually debunked. He thought their language was very limited, but they found later on that they had actually over 30,000 words in their language.
Who found out later on, yo?
People after Darwin who studied the Fuegians. The Fuegian isn't the correct term. They went by their tribal names.
Wait a minute.
But
so you
but
mean
the
they had
people that Darwin saw, he said
there were people that came after Darwin that knew better. So you mean after Darwin we have different opinions? So what is the relevance of Darwin's opinion today? Would we refer to hunter-gatherers as savages, or we would refer them as hunter-gatherers? Will we refer to indigenous native populations as savages or indigenous native population? Hasn't the terminology and our understanding developed over the many centuries since Darwin? Do we understand right now that none of us can survive in these environments? So this makes these people far more sophisticated and far more superior within their environments than we could ever be. So all these narratives have so far long since been changed. We no longer engage in race science. So Darwin's time frame, Darwin's paradigm is no longer relevant in the modern context. So continuously referring to Darwin is a testament to your frame of referencing, which is God, which is man worship. You need a superior figure to look up to. I have no such need. I engage in mechanisms and processes. So referring to Darwin to me is moot. I do not care what he thinks. As a matter of fact, I don't even know what he said.
Right, because at the end of the day, hold on, Sunchild. At the end of the day, you know, that still doesn't discredit the work, if you get what I'm saying. Do you feel like that discredits the work?
No, I think we have to.
Okay, that's it, man. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you, man.
Indeed, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, brother. We ain't got to talk about that anymore, man. My man. Does not discredit me. Appreciate that, bro. That's loud. That's loud.
Hey, you said no, that's all you needed. No. Why are we talking about his lifestyle? What the hell?
He was a beast.
But definitely appreciate you coming on, Sunchild, man.
He was
we
a
love having you around.
Eloquent janitor coming through with the word salad. I think that is a word salad in and of itself. That boy, Thurman. But that boy Thurman, why won't you hit the link and come have a conversation with the janitor? We will only talk about the difference between a detergent and a disinfectant and the different properties necessary to engage in that process. Would you want to have that conversation? That's a very janitorial conversation. I'm sure you're not capable of having that one either.
Come on, hit the link. That boy.
Oh, that's Bushman Common. That's yeah. He like, you know, A Blue Moon, he his Sarnetta panel. He know better. He know what it is. He get it. He know he be strict opposition over here. He get it.
Here we go. Good arguments against the white man.
I hate that. That's almost like you trying to make us be ignorant now. Like white people, the only people can develop science. Like white people just popped up out of nowhere and made science. That's what white people popped up out of nowhere, right? Hold on, we got Ed and Neanderthal James. Let's add this in. They was hybrids. They wasn't even African, but they popped up out of nowhere and created modern science. And you know what they also did? They colonized the world. Them daggone hybrids, boy, I tell you, the devil, boy, that's crazy. Be like, oh, so the less intelligent conquered.
And you know who I blame? I blame those astronomers at Naphtali. It's their fault.
They fault. You unlock Pandora's box.
Man, make sure y'all hit that like button, man. Share the show to your peoples. Don't forget, quick shout out to Brother Gullah gonna be coming through tomorrow.
With that monkey business. Yeah, man, monkey business.
We getting into some dangerous territory, yo.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen,
we getting into some dangerous territory tomorrow, yo.
Yeah, we're gonna finally deal with it, man. Are humans apes?
This might make a break pseudo.
Let me go straight for the gut juggler. Are we monkeys? You know what I say? You know what I say?
Hold on, save it for tomorrow. Don't tell them right. You don't tell them just yet. Save it for tomorrow, man. Then we got
Tomorrow,
Saturday.
tune in.
Look,
We're going to get into that monkey business. Yes, sir.
Saturday, we dealing with galactic cartography, mapping the universe, man. We getting back in our space age African thing, man. Galaxy and beyond. Continuing that, you know what I'm saying? And we got some more coming up next week that we going to show when we do that show. You know what I'm saying? But just wanted to plug that in real quick, man. Let y'all know we got some things cooking up, y'all.
So what Kent is trying to say is that the Pseudo Killers platform with its diverse programming in scientific literacy is back in full effect. Look out for the Brain Show. Of course, CED Talks is going to be bringing it to you. Pseudo Killers, man, listen. Keep hating. We're going to keep working. We're going to keep pushing. Don't forget to smash the like button after the show. Leave a comment in the chat. That helps the algorithm, helps the channel grow. Let's get this information out there, right? The God Killer's been doing this work for so long. And like I said, over the years, right, many have come and many have gone. And right now, you have those that are committed to the vision and to the no flim flam, the no nonsense. You are only going to continue to get this type of programming over here, right? We don't do the smut, we don't do the nonsense, not necessary. That's not what we're about.
Yeah, man. We here to make learning fun again, man. You know, when we first started the Pseudo Killers, man, it was about having fun because we all used to read. We all, you know what I'm saying, was interested in science of different subjects, whether it be evolution, whether it be astronomy, whether it be physics, chemistry, you know what I'm saying? Like we just was all interested in it, so we had fun with it. So we trying to bring that back to the fold, you know what I'm saying? Where we can learn to have fun, trip, joke, if y'all want to debate a little, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. But that's what it's about, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we just trying to make sure we learning at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yes, so y'all forgot the Pseudo Killers have files. We have files on the pseudos and we have files on the pseudoisms. And if you are seeing what we're doing, we are taking each pseudoism one at a time and putting it through the shredder.
Already, man. Hey, look, without further ado, man, we ain't gonna make this, we're gonna keep it short and sweet. You know what I'm saying? We about 2.5 in. Hey, appreciate your Grant coming through again, man. It's always a blessing when you come through, man. I know they're gonna get me on that blessing word, you know what I'm saying? But for real, it was cool to have you come back through this jump, man. Yes, any last words?
No, you guys are doing great work. I mean, I as much as I feel like I know a lot, I most certainly am. It's good to get a refresher course on things that you're just sort of trying to, fill in gaps that you just forget over time. But this is great. I love every bit of it. I'm kind of like a schoolboy again. So it feels extraordinary.
Indeed, man.
People look just like us, talking about science and all that, beating up the pseudos.
Already. Mm-hmm. Got Thanos, aka Mac Rob. Hey, that boy is a real comedian. Y'all don't know that boy got some work on the tube, man.
Wow, yo.
He's man, he a diamond in the rough, yo. Yeah, y'all think he just be on the side, yo. He funny for real in real life. But what's Thanos, man? Appreciate you coming through, man. Any last words, bro?
Yeah, man. I appreciate always good to be on the show, man. Love to see science prevail. Said really good show, very detailed, specific, fit multiple variation of all audiences. Man, I look forward to let me plug myself a little bit. I look forward to bringing on that med talk, right? You got to say it. I might have to do med talk.
Yeah, got to do the med talk.
Yeah, that's gonna
yes,
be
sir. Med talk, yes, sir.
Yeah, we need that. We need that. Malcolm. Go ahead. My bad. I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish, and then I'm gonna add something to that. Go ahead.
No. You're on point, man. So we talk about different body systems and the current state of where we are in health and things of that nature. Social determinants of health, all that good stuff, man. And 911, access to hospitals, you name it, man. We're gonna hit it all. So I'd like to see that the team is flourishing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody doing their thing, and let me get in line.
I'm gonna say this, man. I just had a co-worker die, man, the other day, and and I had another homeboy die last year, man.
Hey, sorry,
man. Get checked out, man. Hey, that pancreatic cancer, colon cancer and all that, man, it's real. You know what I'm saying? Like it's and black people, black men, you know what I'm saying? We got a real problem with not going and getting checked out. So I think that med talk is, you know, from a person that's in the field, not just us talking and, you know, people that just having a conversation. Somebody that's in the field is going to be a real benefit to our channel, man, to people out there that might need to hear some medical information. So y'all be on the lookout for that for real. The God Killer, man, what's happening with you, man? Any last word, man?
Haters keep hating, man. We appreciate the free commercials. We actually appreciate you keeping our name live and well. You know, I couldn't appreciate you more, yo. So keep talking about me. And I'm like, you know how you got the top notch like jet fighters, yo. But when you try to attack a top notch jet fighter, it throw a flare off and misdirect you. So while y'all talking crazy about me, yo, we over here flourishing, man. Appreciate the free commercial, man. I do, man. I do.
We just gonna keep on working. You heard me. Man, hey, Cedric himself, last but not least.
Yes,
man,
sir.
Man, appreciate you coming through, man, and your commitment to this thing, man. Is really gonna make a difference. I'm telling you, yo. And
Yeah,
it's already, I've been hearing some good things, some good feedback so far, man. Anything you want to get off, or you want to say what we doing next? Or
see y'all next week, Wednesday. I ended the show asking the question. We're going to dive into what it's all about. We're going to go again and slow it down, deal with some of the issues that we're facing in the community. Stay tuned. You're going to get the title somewhere in the course of next week. That keeps y'all right here. Tune in to the Pseudo Killers, a full lineup of programming that is coming your way. Look out for my favorite show, Great Show. And don't forget to tune in to Community Ethics. Like, subscribe, share, and see y'all next week, Wednesday, for another set talk. We out.
Well-organized lie. Defeats a disorganized truth. Every time, who we?
A pseudo gon' die, they saw a pseudo killer, I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. Pseudo gon' die, they saw a pseudo killer, I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling. Who do you believe in? People bringing misinformation when that information ain't disinformation. That's disinformation. Gotta know the difference in information. Get information with the pseudo killer army hunting pseudo. Cause you gotta train your mind to fight against them pseudo judo. People with the scholarship salute, we give them kudos. But the people with that look of shit, we look and see straight through those like telescope. If you ain't speaking fast, we gotta tell them folks and let them know the truth of. You bringing malinformation to blast, then you the Ku Klux. Like say, don't talk me to death, bro, what the proof of? Good choo-choo chillin', why you wanna go way bad choo-choo up? Shalom boy got the tank in the cut. I'm in Sosa world plotting on the kick though with Kent. Come in Tiffany gave me the pseudo names on the list and said went and got the low. Anthony got him in the scope, Gullah and Gozy. Make sure DNA ain't a problem for them folks, cause a pseudo gon' die, they saw a pseudo killer, I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling, hey.